So here we have Mitchell Lee's Miracle Sudoku. As you can see, it's a very empty board. The rules are as follows. A number normal Sudoku rules apply. A digit may not see itself by a knight's move or a king's move in chess. So a king's move would be any cell that is adjacent in any direction, including diagonal. And the knight's move is in an L shape, so 2 over and 1 up or down, and 1 vertical, or 2 vertical and 1 over. And in addition, 2 consecutive digits may not be orthogonally connected. So on the long edge, they may not be connected to consecutive digits. So that being said, here's my solve. So I start off here not too sure, just looking at different possibilities where to start. Yeah, as empty as this board looks, there is actually a unique solution. And it comes out of the middle of nowhere. And it will show up eventually. And the key that we will see later is the consecutive rule, because obviously all we have in the grid is a 1 and a 2, and eventually you're going to have to fill in all the 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. And the only information we have on those is what comes from the number before. So we're going to start by ending up filling in some 1s and 2s. I just pencil marked 2s in the corner there and found a 2 that came from the combination of the 2 and the 1 acting with all the various rules in that center box. And then from those, the cell next to the 1 can obviously be a 2, so we placed a 2. Similarly, now we just placed 1s. We placed a 1 in box 6 from the 1 and the 2, and then we placed a 1 in box 5 as a result of that. And that helped to figure out which spot in box 5 was the 2. Now we're looking at row 3, we placed 1s, which are very limited. Similarly, in row 7, 2s are limited to just those 2 spots. Now we've determined, obviously, that where the 1 goes based on the knight's move from the 1 in box 4. So we did the same thing with the 2. Now we can place 2s in the top in box 1. And now we're going to place 1s in box 7. Correction. Yeah, we're going to put 1s in box 7. Not quite enough information in box 8 to place 2s yet. Now we placed a 2 in box 9. That came from the 2 in box 7 doing a lot of damage, and then also the 2 in box 6 had some input. Now we used similar tactics to put the 2 in box 3. And now we can put a 2 into row 2 as well. And now just have that pencil mark in box 2. That pencil mark in box 2 is going to stay there for quite a while. You'll see when we get there later, but there's not really going to be a way to disambiguate that anytime soon. So now we're looking at the possibility of 1s in row 7, because those are limited by similar logic to what we used for the 2s earlier. So now 1 is limited to that 1 spot in box 8. And that's going to help us to pencil mark 1s into box 2. And now we're scanning where to go next. We've basically finished all the 2s except for those 2 pairs of pencil marks that aren't going to do anything until later. So now we're trying to figure out where to go with 1s. Not quite enough information yet to pencil mark in box 3. But we do have information to pencil mark into box 8, into box 9 now, because of that knight's constraint and the consecutive constraint. So we can get 1s into one of 2 spots, and that helps to put a 1 in box 7. Again, there's 2 1s in box 9 that are also gonna stay there for a while. Those need to be disambiguated by the pair of 2s in box 8 that isn't gonna be resolved for a while, as I said earlier. But it did help to put the 1 in box 7, so that is crucial. Now we have more information. No, we don't. I hoped that maybe I had more information on box 3, so I tried to look again, but still nothing new. Except that there is, because what I'm not spotting that I'm going to spot soon is the 1 in box 5 is a nice move. There you go. So now we can pencil mark the 1s. That resolves the 1 in box 2. And now we just have the pair of 1s and the pair of 2s. So now that's really all we can do with the 1s and 2s. There's no way to disambiguate those last couple pairs. So now I'm going to make the grid really colorful. I'm going to color all of the cells that can possibly be 3 with red. And it seems at first glance that there are a lot of possibilities. There you can see I'm coloring a lot of squares. Really the only squares that can't be 3 are the ones that share a long edge with a 2 that are orthogonally connected. But that is a lot of options. As you can see, I'm only through half the boxes, and there's already a lot of options. That is gonna reduce. I'll walk you through some of that logic after I finish coloring. Then we'll start picking off the red cells one by one until we can place where the 3s go. Just get those last ones in box 3. There we go. Now we're colored. Now we're gonna start taking some of those cells out. So the trick here with disambiguating the 3s and figuring out where they go and where they don't is going to be to find spots where one red cell is taking away all the possibilities for one of the other boxes. Straight away there you can see I removed that one from box 7 because both of the options in box 4 see it, and so we got rid of it. Similarly, that spot in box 8 sees all of the options in box 5, so we can get rid of that. That spot in box 2 sees all of the options in box 1, so we can get rid of that one. I'm just scanning to see where we can go next. That spot in box 3 sees all the ones in box 2. Yeah, by Sudoku, by knight, and by king, respectively. Just scanning for the next one. That spot in box 8 sees all of the options in box 9, so we can get rid of that. That spot in box 5 sees all of the options in box 8 now that we've limited that. Now that one in box 2 sees the ones in box 5, the one in box 3 sees the ones in box 2, and you see as we start eliminating options, it becomes easier and easier to eliminate more because each box has fewer options so one cell can see 2 spots more easily than it can see 5. Alright, so as we limit that, it becomes easier. So now I'm scanning here. I got stuck for all that spot in. Now that we have box 3 limited, so now we can limit box 1. We've limited box 2 and box 5 and now box 8. So that's good. Now we're just scanning for the next one. That spot in box 6 sees both of the spots in box 2 by knight and by king. So now, this one I struggled to see for a while. The easiest way to eliminate this one is that in box 3 and box 6, all of the options are confined into columns 8 and 9. And so the 3 in box 8 and the 3 in box 9 are already set, which means that in box 9, the 3 has to be in box 8. That took me a while to realize while I was solving it. What I am going to realize soon enough is that in row 6, if there are only 2 options for a 3, and if it's row 6, column 2, then that eliminates all the options in box 7 except for the one in column 9, in row 9. And if it's the one in row 6, column 5, that eliminates all the options in box 8 except for the one in row 9. Which means that regardless of which option we choose in row 6, we're going to be setting one in row 9 in either box 7 or box 8, which means I'm gonna soon get rid of the options in row 9 of box 9, and then soon after that I'll see the more elegant logic that I explained earlier, essentially an X-wing where row 8 and row 9 are already filled with 3s, so it has to be deferred to column 7, and at that point we can place the 3. So I apologize that I was being a little bit slow earlier. Looks like I'm just starting to realize it now, or maybe this was just why I'm confused. Yeah, you can see how when I first colored all of the options for 3s, it was quite a monstrosity, and now it already looks kind of elegant. There's only one box at this point myself, soon to be 0, that have more than 3 options for the 3. That's rather impressive, and as we continue along in this solve, after we finish the 3s and we go into 4s, yeah, I still color it. 4s and 5s I am also gonna color when we get there. But yeah, I'm coloring fewer and fewer cells, and by the time I get to 6, there are so few options that it's not even worth coloring. So it's amazing how it seems so crazy at first. There you go. I say I eliminated those cells from row 9. But as you go further along, it becomes much more elegant. So soon now that I got there, I should be eliminating row 7, column 8 at any moment. Come on, I'm almost there. I'm sorry, I was being rather slow at this point in the puzzle. I have done Miracle Sudoku before. I find it's actually rather elegant the way that these kinds of things work. You know, where you start with very, very few digits, and yeah, somehow it's still solvable. And so I should have picked up on those patterns before, and I just didn't. And so I apologize for being kind of slow. Eventually I'm gonna get there. I'm 16 minutes into the solve right now. I think I finished right around the 30-minute mark. But I certainly expected to get through this a little bit faster given my previous experience. But what can you do? Right now I'm just tapping around trying to find something because I was unaware of what I could do in box 9. You also can't see it from the video, but oh, there we go, we found it. We found the X-Wing. You also can't see it from the video, but my phone was on low power mode at the time. So my phone screen kept trying to go away, so I had to keep tapping to make sure it didn't do that. But there we go. So now once you place 1 3, then you can place a bunch. Yeah, that's eliminated a bunch. And so I'm just gonna remove all of the cells. Yeah, and I didn't actually put in the numbers right away just because I was carried away with the coloring. But yeah, it's the same thing whether or not the numbers are actually there. You can see the colors, and then I went back after to put the actual digits in. So I'm just gonna fill those in, and then I'm gonna use blue for the 4s. You'll see that in any minute as soon as before I get to 4s, I'm sorry, I skipped a step. Now we put those 3s in. Now we can disambiguate those 2s and 1s that we had earlier, because those 2s and 1s were because that 3 went next to the 2 pair, and the 2 can go next to the 3. So now we were able to disambiguate that. Now we start to color the 4s, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing we did with the 3s, except that's gonna go a little bit faster. I'm using blue this time. Sometimes when I do this on my own, I will just erase all of the colors and then use the same color for the next one, but I wanted it to look nicer for the video, so I left the color and chose a different color instead. Just fill in those last several colors. There we go. Just get that finished up. Oh, put the wrong color there. Whoopsies. I find with this particular setup in this app, it's easy to make typos. Also easy to fix them, but easy to make typos. So now, yeah, immediately I have that pair in box 6, so I can eliminate one in box 5. Yeah, I'm going through this much faster. It's, yeah, as I eliminate, I can eliminate more and more and more, as I said earlier, by the 3s. It's the same concept, except that it goes a lot faster here because there are already fewer options. Right, that one I can get rid of because it's used both of them in box 3. That one I can get rid of because it's used both of box 2. And that's the only one in column 3, so I can get rid of the one in column 2. They're just doing regular Sudoku at this point with a couple of extra variants, but now we have enough digits and few enough possibilities that it's not outlandish strategy anymore. It's just normal scanning. So we can get rid of the rest of those blues. And I think we finished the blues. Now we're going to be on to 5s. In 5s, I was debating if I wanted to color, and I ended up deciding to do it. I'm sorry there, I just got a text message, which is why I had to edit that out. But anyway, I'm using purple for the 5s. I think this is going to go even faster than the 4s. Just fill them in, and I'm already going to start eliminating stuff as I fill it in, just because I don't want to waste all that time. Coming up on the 22-minute mark. Look, I've already filled in a 5. Which has led to another. And another. Right, because those things tend to snowball. I'm gonna just keep going through it. Yeah, I ended up just filling in some 5s without the color, but then my OCD self went back and finished the coloring anyway. Because you can't have half the 5s colored and not all of them. And you can see I found that is a 5. And here, as I went along, I also started animating out a little bit more the logic. If I highlight a bunch of cells that it can't be, and then suddenly there's only 1 or 2 that it can be, and then I highlight those. It's typically how I ended up doing it. Often that's how I think when I'm just doing Sudoku on my own. I did it for some of it. I'm not always super consistent. Right, so now we're on to 6s, and 6s I didn't even bother to color just because there are so few options. Yeah, it's just so easy to rule out possibilities. Especially when you have so many numbers in the grid, so few options of where to put stuff. So it's pretty self-explanatory at this point. Yeah, between previous 6s that I've put into the grid and the position of 5s, yeah, there aren't that many places to put the rest of the 6s, so I just went right through it. There you go, get that one in box 5, so I have to get the one in box 2, which is involved by the king's move from box 1. And now we're on to 7s. Now, 7s are the last digit that we have to pay any sort of attention to. Because once we get to 8, then we have 8 and 9 left. And so basically all the cells remaining are just 8, 9 pairs. And so once we crack 1, then the rest of them we can just do by regular Sudoku. And 7s already are pretty easy. There are only 3 open spots in each box to fill, and there are 6s around that make it pretty easy. I think that's all the 7s. Now we're on to 8s and just scanning to find one spot where the 8 is limited. So 4 more 7 left, sorry. But I scanned to find a spot where there's only one spot for an 8, somewhere where a 7 is pointing at it, and I find that it's right there in box 1. And so once I do that, then I can put 8s and 9s in at the same time, and just go all over the board. No pencil marking, no disambiguation, it's all just pretty straightforward. Yeah, if you've done any Sudoku whatsoever, this shouldn't be difficult. Just gonna put in all the numbers. I missed a digit there. I thought I filled it all, but there we go. Now I fixed it, and 26:49 was my final time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the solve, and see you later.